Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It looks like looks like the bus just pulled up out front and unloaded everybody. It looks like we got all kinds of people here today. It's great.
Yeah.
Michael Jr., it's good to see you. Luke,
Good to
it's
see
good
you.
to
How
see
you
you
doing?
made it. Going well. Going well. I'll see you next week, it looks like. Frank's here. Oh my goodness. Frank, don't be bothering Luke. He's trying to concentrate.
Luke's the man.
Your hair's looking good, Luke. I'm just saying. Let's see here. Melanie's here. Oh, John Griffin is here, man. John Griffin,
Bill.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well, doing well. Natalie, you made it. Fantastic. It's good to see you. Sarah, good to see you here. John Cruz is here. John Griffin and John Cruz is here. Who's running the shop? Makes me kind of nervous. Christina, you made it. Fantastic. Heck yeah. Jen, it's good to see you. All right. Pretty good group. Everybody's coming in here. We'll give everybody a few more minutes, and then we'll get started. So how's everybody's week been? So far, so good? Yeah, no, yeah. It's finally Wednesday.
It's been good. Sorry, Bill. I was looking for the microphone.
It's all good.
Good. Chad, it's
So
good to
far,
see
so
you.
good. Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Yeah. Going well. It's Wednesday, and if you if you go by the rule that Thursday's the new Friday, then today's Thursday, so that's good. I mean, Friday's going to be an easy day, so you might as well just relax.
It's what we all want to get to, right?
That's right.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, I always try to make my Fridays where they're not so busy. However, that ends up being one of the busiest days of the week.
It never fails.
Trying to get it done for the weekend, right?
That's right. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody being here today. We still have some more people that have signed up that'll be coming in. And if I missed your name, my apologies. I do appreciate you being here. We'll go ahead and get started and see what we can talk about today. We got some exciting things to cover. Let me find my PowerPoint. In the PowerPoint, you can hit the button that says Present in Teams. And that's pretty cool. So I'm going to do that.
That's new.
With us today is, as always, Afton Clark. Afton is the producer of Forward Focus, and she's done a lot of work putting things together to make this happen. And so, Afton, a shout out to you. Appreciate you being here as always. I don't know if anybody from the Focus Planet team has made it in here yet. I know Amy and Becky both talked about coming in if they could make it, but here we go. I'm going to open up the PowerPoint here and we'll get started. So as always, welcome to Forward Focus. We started this last year as kind of a virtual user group of clients of Focus Planet, and it's grown to more of a overall ConnectWise user group and webinar series. So I appreciate you being here. One of the things that we talk about, we started doing this. It's like I have a book that I have where I write down all the cool things that people say, and it's my hope that when I'm going, my grandson or somebody will pick this book up and just kind of read it and shake their head. I did not write anything in cursive so that he can read everything. But today's quote of the day is, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. So just kind of keep that in mind. Welcome to Focus Planet. Just a real quick, for those of you that don't really know who we are, what we do, but you attended the event. So years ago, I had an MSP, and one of the challenges with the MSP was that I could get all kinds of people to tell me what I needed to do to set my ConnectWise up. but I was busy running the MSP and I did not have time to set my ConnectWise up. So when I sold the MSP in 2012, I started Focus Planet just with the sole purpose of helping as many MSPs as possible in setting up their ConnectWise and configuring ConnectWise, doing all the administrative minutia that it takes to get it all set up, and helping work through the strategies and workflows and things. So I guess the end result is that we're taking care of your ConnectWise for you, and we specialize in ConnectWise PSA. And being in the industry for so long, we know a lot about other stuff too. But ConnectWise PSA is our core vertical, so to speak. We do also offer ConnectWise whiteboard workshops where we come to your office and talk about how ConnectWise works and how it's designed, and then help your team understand their roles and understand the different functions of the system. So it's usually a one-day workshop, and it's very effective in making sure everybody's on the same page and everybody's up to date with how ConnectWise is designed to operate. So that's it about us. We do have some upcoming events. At the end of April, the 24th, I'll be at the Central Mafia ConnectWise User Group meeting. That's in Burr Ridge in the Chicago area. I also just happen to be staying in the same hotel as the Evolve Group meeting, May 6th through 8th, also in Chicago. And then look for us at the Chartech Academy, May the 20th through 22nd. If you've never been to Chartech Academy, give me a call and I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's hard to get to Bakersfield, but it's worth the effort. It's worth the trip. Okay, so we got some ConnectWise updates for today. So the first update that I want to talk about is on your agreement additions tab. ConnectWise has added a column called margin, and it's essentially doing the math on the price and cost calculation. It's a very simple calculation, but it's an easily you can easily refer to this column and get an idea of the margin on each addition. So to get the column to show up, just hit the gear icon in the upper right, and it'll be there in the columns, and then you can adjust as needed to get that column to show up. Kind of handy, kind of convenient. The other update we have, when we're building workflows, they've added an agreement type workflow trigger so that we can build workflows based on the agreement types. It's available in, as you see here, the service ticket module, the project ticket modules, and then the service surveys. And so this is a good way to kind of get, an idea of different workflows that you could build just based on agreement types. So for example, you want to see a workflow in place that triggers on service tickets that are more than 7 days old, that are of your full all-you-can-eat agreement type, right? But it would ignore the others. So nice little thing there. Also in the portal, in the client portal, there's a new feature that allows us to flip a switch and make it so that clients can see their sites. And the purpose of this is so that when your end user is creating a ticket using the portal, then the client can drop down the site and choose the correct site from where the issue is happening. So really nice feature there. I don't know how many of you are using the portal. If you're not using the portal, it's really nice. The newer portal is really nice. It has a lot of functionality built in, and it's a really good way to engage with your client. Any questions or comments so far on the updates?
Bill, you got anything coming up soon? Just going over the new customer portal?
I could. I could if you'd like. Yeah, I could
Well,
put
we're
that
we're
on the
working on
agenda.
some of that right now, and yeah, that's some like I just saw this. I'm like, oh, we need to make sure that that's turned on as we're in the middle of building it out right now for our customers.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Okay. So I'll reach out to you, Chad, and see if we can put something together.
That sounds good.
Thank you. So on to today's topic. A lot of talk about onboarding. And so I kind of thought we would just come back and do a quick refresher about what we can do in ConnectWise as far as onboarding is concerned. There are a lot of different ways to do this through, specific tasks and automations and things like that. So you have to be a little bit creative and you have to think through your processes, and then we can take those and get them into your ConnectWise for you. One thing about onboarding, well, there's more than one thing, obviously, but the thing to keep in mind is that when you're doing onboarding with a client, it's not just about the technical details. It's not just about collecting the information and putting in, account stuff and credentials and all that stuff. But the whole idea behind a successful onboarding is to show that client that they made the right decision when engaging with you, right? So we've engaged with this new prospect and we're doing our onboarding, and we need to show them that yes, they've made the right decision. We have the credibility, we give them all our all of our referrals and all that good stuff. But this is where the rubber hits the road, and you really have to show that, yeah, it was good. It was good that we signed up with this company, because now, their onboarding showing us that they are getting things done, and they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do. It also shows that this is the tricky part, because, we're all managing people, right? We want to show that our team is organized and our team knows how to communicate, and our team is competent, professional, efficient, whatever the word is that you want to use. This is important, especially during the beginning of the engagement, because there's going to be times when somebody lets you down the road, and they're going to think, the reaction from your client is going to be based on all the work that you've done, to that point. So the whole idea is that, when you do engage with a new client, that you get to know their team and their culture, and they get to know your team and your culture. And all the technical details aside, it's that culture fit that that you want to make sure happens, so that you reduce the amount of friction that's going to be there anyway. There's always going to be a little bit of awkwardness, but you want to reduce that as much as possible by having a specific process, and following that process. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you do have a specific process and you work with your team to define that process, then your team knows what's going to happen next, and you have less of an idea, or less of a feeling that, hey, man, every time we sign up a new client, it's like we're just doing it totally different every time. We're reinventing the wheel. And if you have a playbook, if you have a run book for how that process is going to be, and they understand the theory behind the process, then any kind of anomalies that are outside of that book, they know exactly what to do with it, because they know what happens next. Where was I? Oh yeah, here we go. The other key function here, or the other key point is, if you're clearly defining the scopes and the timelines and the expectations, and you manage to that, to those expectations, then it's going to be more of a profitable client journey from your perspective, because every time you do an onboarding, it's going to get more efficient and more efficient and more efficient. And again, we know that there's going to be things that are going to be outside of the norm, outside of the standard. But if everybody understands the theory behind the process, then taking care of those anomalies is just going to happen. We know we're going to be able to handle those. So, and then the last comment there, if you have if your firm has long-term retainers and you're growing through referrals, it's not always about the best tech stack. It's more about the experience, the client experience. And it all starts with onboarding. So onboarding is very important. That being said, show of hands, we've got the whole hand raising thing up there. Who has a solid, who do you feel? I mean, if you feel like you have a solid onboarding process for your clients, raise your hand. See any hands? Here we go. There we go. Luke. Okay, so if you don't feel that you have a solid onboarding process, thanks for raising your hands, by the way. If you don't think you have a solid onboarding process, let's talk. And we can put one together for you and get it into ConnectWise so that you at least have a structure in place to onboard new clients. So let's talk a little bit further about that. A couple of quotes, Will Rogers, obviously you never get a second chance to make the first impression. I've kind of lived that my whole life. First impression is everything. And, that's why, I don't know, you concentrate on doing the right things with everybody and all that good stuff. So, and then the way you do anything is the way you do everything. I don't know who said that, but it's, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good way to go, to run your business by. So, one key point about that, if your onboarding is sloppy and it takes you a long time to get clients onboarded, there's reasons for that. Whether the reason is we didn't do a good enough discovery during the sales process, or we have a team that's stretched too thin, or we don't have a structured process for onboarding. There's reasons for that, but the whole point is that your client's going to assume that, man, your onboarding is a hot mess. What's the rest of this engagement going to look like in terms of service delivery? So, so if we can get at least some structure in place in the beginning, and then understand how to proceed with that, that's going to give them the confidence that they need to know that your service delivery is going to be what put together, right? So, why in ConnectWise is the question. Hang on a second. I need a drink. It's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Not yet. So the whole reason we put it in ConnectWise is because, you're going to centralize as much as possible. We know that we have things like SharePoint and IT Boost and IT Glue, Hoodoo, all the documentation things, that those should be integrated with ConnectWise. And at the same time, when we talk about structure and the structure of your processes, ConnectWise is built to create that structure and manage that structure for you, right? So when we talk about putting things in ConnectWise, we're talking about, when that customer first enters your system as a prospect, we start building business records against that prospect, whether it's marketing, opportunity management, activities, and then as they move through and become a client, all of that is in one place. So, everything from sales to service delivery, project management, finance, it's all in one place. And from your business, ConnectWise is your business operating system. So from a business operating system perspective, you want as much as possible in that system, and you want to make sure everybody knows that's the first place they go to look for any information. From a structure perspective, when you start laying out processes and, everything as simple as like a task list, if it's in that one place, if it's in ConnectWise, you're not going to miss it. It's there where it's supposed to be, and you're going to make sure that everybody looks at it. The other thing, obviously, if it's in ConnectWise, you're going to be able to assign your resources to it, which ensures some level of accountability. So you can assign your resources, you can do your scheduling, you can lay out what that onboarding, in this case, onboarding project is going to look like in terms of scheduling. You can see it on the calendar. You can see when somebody's being delayed in getting things done, and you can either bring more resources to help, or you can, manage that delay effectively. So it's all going to be in ConnectWise. There's also some standardization. So we talk about what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. We're going to talk about, workflows and tracks and things like that, where we standardize notification. We standardize some of the automations that go into effect, things like that. And then obviously you can monitor the progress of things. So, any kind of real-time updates. As a project manager, you're going to be able to see, who's doing what, and keep tabs on what's happening. So the other key point here is, I'll admit, when I had my MSP, I did not have a systemized process like I would have today if I had an MSP, because a lot of the onboarding was in my head or in another guy's head. And he would, between the two of us, we were onboarding people, and we were just, thinking about the things that needed to be done. So once you have it in ConnectWise, then, if I get hit by a bus, that onboarding process is still there. It's just a matter of looking at it and working it. And again, making sure everybody's accountable and everybody knows where it is and how it works. So it's not the technical details as much as it is the process itself. So yeah. One of the things we talked about is automation. So, tracks are really important. Is everybody using tracks to some degree, or do we have tracks in place? Yes, no. Frank has tracks. I know. I've seen your tracks. They look familiar. Yeah. So tracks do a fantastic job of taking care of repeatable processes on a timeline. So think about workflow actions, but we can put them on a timeline. So if you think about it, when we have a new client, let's say one of the first things we want to do is mark their account as active. Then we can do that with a track. You may want to send a welcome email, and then that welcome email can come from specific email addresses and come from anybody in the company. Then you could send like next steps email from, let's say you send a welcome email from the president, and then you send a next steps email from the service manager saying, hey, my name is so-and-so, I'm the service manager, welcome aboard, whatever, here are the next steps we need to take. And then using ticket templates, we could create IT assessment tickets, we could create initial whatever, right? So we can create some automated tickets here and then move those tickets into the onboarding project. So there are a lot of ways that we can use tracks. A lot of one of the tracks I have sends cookies. When you sign up, you get cookies. So keep in mind we can use tracks to do a lot of automation, and keep in mind that tracks can be used on a like you could set a track to change the company status. on day 0, send the welcome email on day 0, but send the service next steps email 2 days later. And then send, send the cookie 7 days later, so tracks can be scheduled out. Tracks were originally designed to be a marketing function so that you could do your initial marketing, apply a marketing track on somebody and send out an email every 30 days or something like that. But from a service delivery perspective, it works really well. You can also do tracks, obviously use tracks for creating tickets to manage BD or like your strategic business reviews, technology business reviews, QBRs, whatever. So tracks are really nice for those things. I'm a big fan of tracks. You could also use workflow rules. This is kind of interchangeable. We use the track to set the company status to active. You could, if you wanted to, you could also use a workflow rule to set a company status to active. You could set a company status using a workflow rule. Let's say you have an opportunity that's won. You may want to change the company status to onboarding so that when a service ticket comes in, whoever's running the service board, the help desk can know, hey, they're in onboarding currently. I need to move this over to the project. So speaking of project templates or projects, it's vital to have a project template that's going to take care of your onboarding. So this is where you can get into all the little details that's onboard new clients. And obviously it's a template. So you want to start out with just your standard framework for all the things you're going to do, and then put in additional tickets or details inside of tickets that are unique to this client. So I know we have one, for example, one onboarding has workstation updates or workstation changes as a phase. And in the template, there's one ticket for workstation number 1. And then they would go in after they apply the template, they would create additional tickets for all the workstations that need to be updated or changed or whatever. So that each workstation has its own ticket. That's kind of an example of how you just standardize your template, apply the template, and then make it customized and unique for each client. Also in the templates, when you create your templates on each ticket, you can put in budget hours. So this is a good way to get an idea of how much you budgeted for an onboarding versus how much was actually spent. And then you can go through and kind of analyze, after you've done a few onboardings, you can analyze whether or not you're budgeting what you thought was going to be the case versus what your average reality is, and then adjust the budget accordingly. That would also affect future sales, right? So if you're budgeting X number of hours for an onboarding and it turns out you're using twice that much, then that's going to affect your sales, pricing as well, more than likely. This is just an example of where we have a new one opportunity. We convert that to a sales order, and then a workflow rule can trigger a track that can kick off notifications to different people in the system. And we can talk through that conversion at any time if anybody has any questions. There's project reports. As you know, the project reports in ConnectWise aren't that great, but there's some basic functional project reports, like we talked about with the budgeting, that would show you, hours actual versus budget. So just kind of review those and get an idea of where your estimating is off a little bit. So we talked about the portal, the end user portal. This is where, when you do onboard your new client, part of the onboarding, if you're using the portal, you'd want to make sure that obviously they know how to access the portal and how to, how to submit tickets using the portal, what the portal can show them in terms of their account. And their feedback on the portal obviously gives you more things that you can do to help make that portal more responsive for your customers. New client status. Yeah. So once the client's fully onboarded, that project is completed. The onboarding project is completed. We would want to obviously, let everybody know, hey, we're releasing this client to help desk now, and they're ready to go. So we'd be able to flip that with a workflow. If project's closed, change client status or change company status. Now, let me see. How do I end the sharing here? Because I want to. Oh, here we go. I know what I want to do. Wait here just a minute. So one of the things that can you guys see the ConnectWise University? Yep. Okay. So the university has resources and then the partner kit library. And a lot of the information that we went over today is coming from the partner kit library. So in this library, here we go. Let's get it back up here again. In this library, there's all kinds of things, partner kits that they've created. So the one we're focusing on today is onboarding. And this is one of these situations where you could come out here and read the partner kit and go through and see all the details of what needs to be done. But if you don't have time to do it, that's where we come in. So there's a webinar about it. There's a template, that you can print out. But what I want to focus on is this onboarding checklist. And in the checklist, it kind of talks you through how we win a quote. You create a status for onboarding. You create a workflow rule, and when you click on these, obviously it takes you to the page that's dedicated to that information. And then we talked about the different reports you could see. And once it's done, you can set up contact sync. You can create, you can do the whole end user portal thing. So if you want to go through and read these partner kits, they're very effective at getting things done. Just keep in mind that when you do look at them, there are some neat little features in here. It takes a little bit of time to put them in and then get everybody up to speed on how they work. But it's a good way to kind of increase the usability of your PSA, your ecosystem. So today we talked about onboarding. There's also an offboarding in here. Here we go. There's also an offboarding. Similar stuff. There's a checklist. So a lot of little, similar things in the partner kit library. So it's it's a very effective little tool. Okay. So do we have, let me see, here we go. We bring this back up again, the handy dandy PowerPoint. And so I'd like to talk about, if we could, just if there's any discussion, anybody have any feedback or questions? Luke, you mentioned that you have a good onboarding process. Would you, I mean, would it be possible for you to kind of share a little bit about that?
You find my mic there. Sure.
I appreciate
Yeah, Bill,
it.
happy to share. I'll start with my real wonderment is around tracks. We don't utilize that at all. But in the spirit of being a go-giver, Bill, please allow me to share about onboarding, and
Thank you.
we'll do that first. But selfishly, I'm very curious about tracks. So, yeah, for us, we have a like a one-page. We're an EOS shop, and so if you're familiar with EOS and kind of their visual document that they use to describe the journey of EOS, from a kickoff to meeting, about us, about you, and then the cycle of quarterly meetings. We have a very similar visual document that we pass out at the beginning of the relationship, from a kickoff meeting to the onboarding to an onboarding report to quarterly TBRs. And so for us, I think sharing communication verbally and then also tangibly uh, gives a client and helps to set clear expectations. Um, We've certainly been the shop that runs long onboardings well past what they're due and well misaligned with clients and their desires. And so I think it was due to some of that pain that forced improvement and collaboration amongst our team. The team's done a great job putting this together. So um, happy to talk more about that in depth, about what each of those boxes or phases look like. We do use ConnectWise templates for our projects within the onboarding process. But the goal for us is to make it as simple for the client, that one pager, just so they see what's going on, expectations within timelines and phases of what that'll look like. Internally, it's certainly a bit more detailed and granular as far as the template goes, with phases, tickets, and tasks. But to the client, we want to make it as seamless and clear as possible.
Fantastic. So, so Luke, where are you located?
We're in Fresno, California,
Luke
just
is
north
in
of that
Fresno.
beautiful city of Bakersfield, about 90
That's
miles
right.
that you were mentioning earlier. So, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, close. You're practically neighbors. Luke was introduced to me by my friend Frank, and we had a nice chat a couple weeks ago, and I appreciate you being here today to kind of give some feedback into the meeting here. So yeah, with your project templates for onboarding, Luke, do you have like several phases for that onboarding process, or how do you lay that out? Is it like the initial phase of introductions and discovery, more discovery, post-sales discovery, and then actually execution, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, very, very similar, even 4 phases: pre-onboarding, on-site, remote, and wrap-up. So in terms of phases, that's how that's laid out. Certainly different tickets within each one and tasks within that. The pre-onboarding, we just had a meeting yesterday with the new client who signed, and that introduction and relationship is incredibly important. This client who just brought on has internal IT as well, so the co-managed relationship, that relationship is incredibly important. So, but yeah, so we do a cookie drop-off, Bill, maybe similar to you there. That's an important part of even just relational deposits and connecting early on. But we send a like an introduction. So I'll be like the sales face who they know throughout the process, kind of courting them. But I'll send an email introduction after that agreement is signed, introducing their client account manager, who will be their liaison and guide along the Cotman journey. That one pager we gave them in the sales process is called the Cotman journey. So this is their tour guide, their concierge. If you're to show up at the resort, it's the person who's walking you around saying, here's the pool, here's your room, here's where you'll eat, here's where. So that's the client account manager. So that'll be their point of contact. So they're not going to handle billing. They're not going to be your project manager. They're not going to be your service coordinator. but they're going to point you in that direction and be your guide for those things along the way. So that happens early on, is that phase we mentioned called pre-onboarding. That happens there. So yeah, happy to talk more about each phase, but yeah, pre-onboarding, on-site, remote, and then wrap up.
So with the pre-onboarding, is it always like an in-person experience where the account manager just goes to the office and walks around making introductions and things like that? Is that, or is it also technical as well, where you're bringing in technical resources to start looking under the hood and check the tires and things like that?
Yeah. So in that comment, I'd even go back one stage to say pre-sales. So prior to agreement, so myself and a technical member of our team, one of the most recent ones we do is one of our TAMs. So our TAMs it's a new phase for us here within the last, I don't know, 12 to 18 months. But I brought along one of the TAMs who is going to be assigned to that client. And so even in the pre-sales process, getting them involved, not just from a relational standpoint of getting to know the client, but for a technical under the hood, that created, it was the first time we've done that, where that technical person was a TAM. And to see that relationship and what's transpired, that they've been a client for about 3 months now. And that's been game changing, because it just created another sticky point within the relationship, another face that they'll know. But the person that TAM got to get under the hood, as you said, even prior to any agreement signing or an introduction or the client account manager experience, is the TAM side of things. And they felt like they knew the client technically much better before we started.
Right. And then when you do the wrap up, is there any kind of do you have any kind of automation built in to say, hey, this project's done, let's change client status, or let's send whatever?
We don't. So that's all manual. So super weak as far as tracks and automation, which is something I'm really interested in. The onboarding report, I will mention, we utilize a LCI. And so that's been a great tool for us. But that's our first time where at that wrap up, we're sitting down with our client account manager and the TAM and the service manager. It's kind of this handoff. And that's really our first opportunity for internal sales or farming. So that has become a great relational meeting. And then recently, over the past 2 years or so, it's become our first farming opportunity. So we lay out, in terms of risk, the different things. And so onboarding consists of a few key points, from deployment of tools, which we actually asked the exiting MSP to help us with, to deploy IMI and get that out. And they've been courteous to do that more times than not. But getting backups in place, our firewalls in place, the tools deployed, Huntress, ThreatLocker, our stack, and documentation to where the service handoff, they say, yes, this has the required fields needed to hand off to service. We want to truncate that process as much as possible to get onboarding handed over to service, and largely that determines a lot of project profitability and bleed if we can reduce time. And so that's been a big thing for us as well. But yeah, that wrap up and onboarding report is the first time we'll start to introduce, hey, here's some risks, here's some things we'd like to look at from a sales standpoint, from internal. But
Right. Perfect. And then you mentioned LCI, Lifecycle Insights. It's pretty, some of the output from that's pretty nice. It's pretty cool. I've seen it. Does anybody else in the group, do you have anything that you want to share? Any questions about your onboarding process? Anybody? Nothing? Okay. Perfect. Well, Luke, thanks for your feedback. I might ask you to come back sometime and keep feeding us more information about onboarding, offboarding. It's good stuff. You mentioned tracks.
I'll just share all the mistakes we do. I don't know that we're I think we still got a long way to go, but appreciate being here. And it's neat.
I was gonna say, Bill, we started to try to develop some better ticket and project templates for that process. So
Yeah.
we're like, I mean, kind of similar to what I think Luke said, you know, different phases for different things. So we can assign it to different people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's more or less just trial and error until we like work out the bugs.
Right. Yeah. You just keep going over it again and again. You know, the theory is you keep growing more new clients, the process gets easier, and it also changes because technology changes over time. So, but yeah, you mentioned tracks. That just real quick, I'll show you if you haven't ever used tracks in your setup tables. Just come in here. It's the actions are the same as what a workflow action would be. The only difference is that when you do, you set up the different things that are going to happen. You can add them to groups, or you could actually attach another track. So let's say that you have an onboarding track that's going to run for 90 days, and at the end of 90 days, it kicks off a track that uh, creates a bunch of activities for the account manager over a period of a year. So you can send emails and you can create service tickets and things like that, but you could also attach other tracks, so you can have layers of tracks. But the key difference between an action in a track and an action in a workflow rule is this bottom field down here that tells you to perform it after X number of days. So if I want to send cookies 10 days after a client signs up, then I just put in 10 here. When the client signs up, I have a workflow rule that kicks off the track. When the opportunity is one, there's a workflow rule that starts this track, and then the track does these things. So you could have an entire list of things. We built tracks over the years that were massive, and kind of hard to keep track of. Pardon the pun, but the concept's the same. You can just build it out and go from there. It takes a little time, it takes a little time to plan the track and diagram what that track's going to be in the number of days, and work through the logic of it, and then you have to build it out. So this is one of the things, when I say I knew what I needed to do in ConnectWise, but I didn't have time to do it. This is one of those things that it seems like it always takes a back seat, but it gets the job done. So,
I think that, I think that the track conversation might be interesting here at Pack States to kind of allow for more of an automated communication, and then also keeping our sales team kind of updated on actually communicating with the clients post signature.
yeah.
Because sometimes that's kind of difficult because they get busy and don't think they have the time to maintain that communication.
Right. Yeah, you can automate communication to the client. You can automate communication to anybody. You can also send the communication plus an activity for the account manager on their calendar that says you need to communicate with whatever, you need to do this. And the whole thing with activities and putting activities on the calendar is that, personally, when I look at my calendar, I'm looking at my week, the view of the week. And if there's an activity that's happening at the bottom of my calendar and I'm getting ready to flip to the next week, and that activity hasn't been touched yet, then I know that I either A, need to take action on that activity right now, or B, move it to next week, right? So the good thing about procrastination is that you never run out of things to do. So you can always move it to next week, and that way it's on that calendar. So just keep in mind, there's a lot of accountability that has to be built in when you think about the logic of tracks. So yeah, we could send emails and we could do this stuff. And at the same time, we have to actually take action on those things. So yeah, good stuff. Anybody else? Any comments? So Luke, are you there, or did you go away? Did you come back? Oh, yeah. So can you guys see the PowerPoint again? Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
See it.
thank you. Guess what it's time for? It's time for the spin to win. It's pretty exciting. Today we're giving away either this book, Pumpkin Plan for MSPs, or Traction, or a Carl Palachuk book that I don't have a copy of right now. So, Afton, you want to do the honors?
Let's do it. So let me share my screen here. I should have
Okay.
everyone's name in here. If you don't see your name, let me know and we'll redo it. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Did you put my name in there?
No, you're not in there, Bill. Did you want to be in there?
No, that's all right.
All right, let's do it. Jessica.
All right.
Yay!
Got a winner. So Jessica,
Congrats.
I'll send you this. Which would you rather have, this book or Traction? Or if you have both of these books already, then you and I can connect offline here and we will send you a book of some sort.
I don't have either of them. Whatever you think would be
Okay.
best would be whatever. I appreciate it.
I will send you this one. It's a great book by my friend Dave Kava and Sean Walsh. And if you've ever read Pumpkin Plan by Michael Michalowicz, then you will enjoy this because it's specifically for MSPs. It's a great book. So congratulations on the big win. It's a big
Thank
win
you
for
so much.
Wednesday. Today's winning Wednesday. So yeah. All right. I think that's a wrap. If you missed anything, if you have any questions you think of after today's event, please feel free to reach out. And yeah, and Chad, next time we're in Nashville, man, we got to have lunch or something. Good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know.
All right.
All right, man.
Well, thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You take care as well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Bill.
Everybody.